Right, it's the time for the news review, and I am very lucky. I feel very lucky to have joining me this morning for the news review, Araba Kumsing. Hello, Araba.
Hi, Israel. Always a pleasure to be here.
Yep.
How are you doing?
I'm well. How about you?
I'm good. I'm just sad that, yesterday we did a story about people stealing stuff, the railings of the Pokwasi interchange. I'm just outraged.
I've been asking myself, why are we like that? Who even does that? And for someone to think that, okay, if I steal them, I can make some money off them. But it's state property, and it's supposed to protect all of us.
Exactly. Something that's meant for the public good, somebody is going to steal it for their personal good.
All right, so it's a conversation we're going to be having this morning. We're going to be talking about, we have some incredible people lined up for the conversation. We have Josephine Nkrumah of the NCC.
Right.
We have the former Tema Mayor, David Anang, joining us for the conversation. Reku Brobe, Dr. Charles Reku Brobe is also in on the conversation. And we also have Emil Shaw.
Oh, great.
Also being part of the conversation. But we're asking, why is it that when we see stuff, we see something, we don't say something, we don't question issues, we don't question authority because we feel, yeah, it's okay, yeah, no, it's not my business. But there's a saying that moko sandele, moko sandeni. Okay? So everybody's issue is somebody else's issue. Everybody's issue. Okay, let's get into the newspapers. And on the front page of the Daily Graphic, unless you want to start with
No,
the
you
Times.
start. Go ahead.
Okay, so on the front page of the Daily Graphic, we have that story. Apparently, the stolen crash barriers are to be replaced. That's a resident engineer saying that. O2 is best teacher, wins 3-bedroom house. So a 44-year-old visual arts ceramics teacher at the Winneba Senior High School in the Central Region, Mr. Ebenezer Kojo O2, has been adjudged the most outstanding teacher for 2021. At the ceremony to commemorate World Teachers Day in Sunyani yesterday, Mr. O2, who is also a farmer, was presented with a check for 250,000 cedis for the construction of a 3-bedroom house at a place of his choice. Okay, so that's very good. So he's best teacher. And Mr. O2, for your information, if you're not aware, if you've decided to go there to build way, you've been given 250,000 cedis. The Habitat Fair, the EcoBank JoyNews Habitat Fair, is a place that you can come to and sort out yourself. You can get all the things you need to build your house. So make your way there. The main fair is going to be on from the 27th to the 31st of October. So we're invited. This is my personal invite to you. All right, so we get on to the other stories in the Daily Graphic. Pandora Papers expose African leaders' offshore assets. Macron urges ease and tensions with Algeria. South African metal workers strike.
But the Pandora Papers, we were told that there were 3 Ghanaian politicians who were fingered.
Right.
But up till now, we don't know the identities of these 3.
Well, maybe with time we're going to get, because it's been serialized, maybe the names are going to pop up and then we'll get to know who these people are. But whoever it is, if you know that your name is in there, it's okay to come out, volunteer information and say, like the Kenyan president,
yes,
he came out they put out a statement to say that, yes.
But in his case, the details were very clear, not sketchy.
Yeah.
Like
they didn't
the
say
Ghanaian
that.
case.
Yeah.
They said that.
So you come out and you put out a statement and maybe people would look at things differently. But, let's see. It's okay to come out.
Right.
We won't be too hard on you. It's okay. On page 9, French clergy abuse 216,000 children. Okay, wow. And Germany's coalition kingmakers re-strategize. And there's an opinion piece, Lost in the Haze. It's by Elizabeth Ohene. That's on page 10. So you can go for that. And let's get to... Okay, so I'm seeing this thing on page 11. It's an advert, but it's something I think I should share with you. So KFC is saying a sweet treat for getting vaccinated. Show your COVID-19 card and get a free soft twirl with every purchase. It's valid.
So free ice cream if you're vaccinated.
If you're vaccinated, that's nice.
Of course, but I mean, it's not everyone who's been vaccinated. So if you're not vaccinated,
they're using that to encourage people.
Of course,
to go get a vaccine.
But I'm saying not everybody has had the ability or the opportunity to get vaccinated.
Now it's been open to a lot more people. We have a lot more vaccines.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay.
They're using that to encourage people.
And that's a good thing.
It's cool. Yeah, that's cool. And moving on to other stories in the Daily Graphic. Okay, so the stolen crash barriers to be replaced by residents is on page 16. So the crash barriers that have been stolen at the Pokwasi interchange are to be replaced to ensure the safety of motorists and pedestrians. According to the resident engineer of the Pokwasi interchange and local roads project, Mr. Kwabna Bimpong, measures were also being instituted to protect the crash barriers from theft. Okay, so it's good that they're being replaced, but we shouldn't have them stolen in the first place. All right. Also on page 16, Reverend Usu Bempa faces trial in 2 courts. So here's the story. The General Overseer of the Glorious Word Power Ministry International, Reverend Isaac Usu Bempa, is facing more legal woes after police prosecutors decided to prosecute him in 2 different courts. Reverend Usu Bempa is facing the law at the Accra Circuit Court, one for allegedly instigating his church members to issue threats to kill a former fetish priest and now self-acclaimed evangelist Patricia Udro Kuranting, a.k.a. Nana Agrada. An associate pastor of Reverend Usu Bempa's church, Michael Ofori, and a member of the church, Bright Bechi, have also been charged for allegedly threatening to kill Nana Agrada. The story is on page 16. You can get a copy and read. In politics, use of Ghana card for SIM re-registration unacceptable. That's a minority saying that. And MPP's poor show in Upper East self-inflicted. Banga. Confirmation of MMDCs. Pines and Pine and Kankam get the nod. Salifu also endorsed as Tamale MCE. And we support Dr. Farijan's views on reform proposals as a PNC, saying that in Parliament is reconvening after 3 weeks suspension. On page 20.
When are they reconvening?
Okay, let me get that.
I think there was a statement released to the effect that I think the last week of October, they will be reconvening. All
right, so they've indicated here, but I'm not getting the dates.
Okay, we'll bring it to our viewers later.
So we'll let you know later. The story just goes, the first session of the 8th Parliament resumed yesterday. Okay. The first session of the 8th Parliament resumed yesterday. So they've already resumed.
Oh, okay. All right.
After, from a 3-week suspension that was aimed at curbing the spread of COVID-19 among members and staff of Parliament. Okay, so they have resumed, actually. They resumed yesterday.
Okay, all right.
TOR interdict staff over product losses. And moving on, 500 trees planted at a Tiwa forest. That's on page 20. And in the center spread, CSOs advised to be circumspect in criticism of security matters. So civil society organizations have been advised to be circumspect in their criticism of issues bordering on national security. The Minister of National Security, Mr. Kandapa, who gave the advice, however, said the government welcomed constructive criticisms that would ensure peace and national harmony, adding that the CSOs continued to contribute significantly to the shaping of government policies through suggestions and interventions. And then strengthening anti-money laundering regimes. That's Kedoforia to the Finance Minister, and speaking with the Financial Intelligence Center.
You know, the Finance Ministry released a statement yesterday, apparently in reaction to some media reports that he was due to be either fired or resign from the Finance Ministry.
Okay.
You know, he's been battling some health issues. And so some newspapers had reported that very soon he will be asked to leave or he will resign. But the ministry says that that is not true. And
he's
they've
still
issued
at
a
post.
statement. He's still at post.
He's still at post, okay. Now, NEDCO loses for 8.4 million cedis monthly to power theft. Okay, so power is still being stolen. And
everything is being stolen. Crash barriers are being stolen. Power is being stolen. is wrong with us as a people?
You know, right? Okay, and there's another story. A court remands students for stealing ATM cards. That's interesting. So
We're a nation of thieves.
The Bekan District Court has remanded a 23-year-old student for allegedly stealing ATM cards from the owners and using them to fraudulently withdraw money from the accounts of the owners. Okay. And then teaching through COVID-19 pandemic lessons from Ola College of Education. Accra Old Boys, BOG Chapter Support School. ECOWAS Council of Ministers meets in Accra. And let's go on to, let's see if I could just open this one. Okay. Mobile money poorly regulated. That's a cybersecurity expert saying that. I'm just going to skip. African Engineering Week opens in Accra. And on the back page, President cuts sword for hospital at Bidiemeyana pledges support to preserve environments. All right.
All right, so I have the Ghanaian Times with me. Lots of stories on the front page. President begins Eastern Region tour. That's on page 15. Reverend Osu Bempa and 6 others granted second bail. 700,000 cedis involved. Also, police investigate alleged murder of 90-year-old woman at Aflao, and President applauds MP Wembley Sports for ultra-modern AstroTurf facility at Bantama. So, but the big one there is the Teachers' Day. Ebenezer Kojo Otu, adjudged Best Teacher. Reverend Sister Justina Kwachewa, Nelson Kwashi, first and second runner-ups, and that story is on page 16. So let's turn to page 16, the middle pages of the Ghanaian Times, where that story is. I read a bit of it, because Israel, you've already read a lot on it.
Yeah.
It says, the 44-year-old visual arts ceramics teacher of the Winneba Senior High School in the Central Region, Ebenezer Kojo Otu, was adjudged the overall best teacher for 2021. Mr. Otu, who had taught for 22 years, took home a 3-bedroom house as his prize. Reverend Sister Justina Kwachewa of St. Francis Technical School in the Birim Central of the Eastern Region won the first runner-up position, and she took home a double cabin pickup as a prize, while Nelson Xavier Kwashi of Ewutu Swinton SHS in the Central Region won the second runner-up prize with a saloon car. So teachers from the Eastern and Central Region, kudos to you, kudos to you. And 15 other teachers from preschool to SHS level were also presented with various prizes. So that story is on page 16 of the Ghanaian Times. Still on teaching, 40,000 teachers to be recruited to address congestion. That's coming from the Vice President. And it says the government, through the Ministry of Education, is to recruit about 40,000 teachers to address congestion and enhance teaching and learning in schools in the country. Vice President Baumia announced this in a speech read on his behalf by the Tourism Minister at the Ghana Teachers and World Teachers Day held in Sunyani yesterday. So that story is on page 16. But another story that has caught my interest, still on page 6 in the Ghanaian Times, but on page 17, is the controversy around this anti-gay bill.
Yeah.
Yes, and as you know, some academics and, revered legal practitioners and civil society actors yesterday held a press conference, was it yesterday?
They're saying that
it was Monday. It was Monday.
Parliament should throw it out.
Exactly. They're saying Parliament should throw it out. But the religious leaders are opposing, this call for the bill to be withdrawn. And the story is by Anita Nyakorin. She says that religious leaders in the country have stated they will resist any attempt by any group of persons or organizations that will call for the withdrawal of the lesbians, gays, bisexual, transgender, queer, LGBTQ plus bill currently before Parliament. They've therefore called on government to resist any attempt to legalize the bill into law, stating that it was an affront to Ghanaian cultural values. Now, this came at the heels of calls from a group made up of academics, lawyers, researchers, and officials of civil society organizations who claim that when the bill is passed, it will infringe on the fundamental human rights of those involved in LGBTQ plus activities as enshrined in the Constitution. And so let me go down to what the religious leaders are saying. So the religious leaders, in separate interviews with the Ghanaian Times yesterday, expressed strong resentment against the advocacy for the withdrawal of the bill. The presiding bishop of the Methodist Church of Ghana, Most Reverend Dr. Paul Kwabena Boafo, said the church was in support of the bill, explaining that when legalized, it will affect Ghanaian cultural family and cultural family values, as well as proper human sexual relation and procreation. And he was saying that the church leaders will today present a memorandum on the issue to Parliament. So lots more you can read on page 17 of that particular story, which has garnered some
there's some traction.
Controversy, yes. Okay. So let's go to page 3 of the Ghanaian Times. Police investigate alleged murder of 90-year-old woman at Aflao. And the late Madam Dopui Gboha was allegedly killed on Sunday dawn at her home. And it says that Daniel Setoji, son of Madam Goha, reported to the police that he received information that his mother could not be found. And he told the police that when he looked for his mother in the house, he could not find her, but only saw blood stains on the floor. So apparently, they saw the body of the woman on the floor, covered with a cloth, but there were blood stains. This is quite interesting. So the police are investigating it, and that's on page 3 of the Ghanaian Times. Let's turn to page 5, which is the international news page. South African Union starts indefinite strike. Libya legislators agree to parliamentary election law, and troops assemble on highway to Tigray front. Excuse me.
Sorry about that.
So on page 7, Palestine committed to two-state solution to promote peace. That's an envoy there, an envoy to Ghana, I believe. And increase workers' salaries to guarantee better pension. That's coming from the Ghana Government Pensioners Association, which is saying that government must increase salaries of workers to guarantee them better pensions. According to the association, many workers went on retirement without adequate pension, stressing that they eventually became paupers and a burden to their family. I think the pension system in Ghana must be streamlined, because you see a lot of elderly people who may have, worked in lucrative positions and still end up impoverished after they retire.
Okay, so the people who work in lucrative positions typically won't retire poor, except a lot of people who would have worked, actually, they end up being paupers after on retirement. A lot of the time because of the salaries they were earning or how much of it was they were contributing to. But generally, we have a system where we have low salaries.
I see.
So a lot of people end up being paupers.
Okay. So, Israel, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yes.
And on page 9 of the Ghanaian Times, there's a feature, Pink October, the fight against breast cancer is on. So get a copy and read. And women, please, go for your mammogram. It's very, very important. Don't leave it to chance, or don't leave it to the last minute.
And those of you who have partners, you can let your partners examine your breast for you. And
okay,
you should also get your breast examined.
Definitely, I will. And this story that we did on JoyNews today, UTAG asked to remain resolute at negotiation table. Apparently, they're saying that the government has not shifted its position, and that they have decided that by Friday, if government does not heed their demands, they will resume their strike.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So
let me turn to the back page of the Ghanaian Times. 20 million trees to be planted under Green Ghana next year. That's according to the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry. And Food and Drugs Authority cautions against use of injectable glutathione for skin lightening. Okay. That's to women out there who like skin lightening creams. Be careful of some of the creams that you use.
All right, so we're returning to the Daily Graphic and to that story about Parliament reconvening. Apparently, it has a mistake with this story. So this story is supposed to be like an old one. If I read on, and I realized that no, this is not the reconvening after 3 weeks thing.
Exactly.
So we have the notice from the Speaker, and it reads, so in pursuance of Standing Order 37 of the Parliament of Ghana, I, Alban Bagbing, Sumana Kingsford Bagbing, Speaker of Parliament, hereby give notice that the third meeting of the first session of the 8th Parliament of the Fourth Republic shall commence on Tuesday, the 26th day of October 2021 at 10 o'clock in the forenoon at Parliament House, Accra. So
Exactly.
dated in this office of the Speaker of Parliament, Accra, Ghana, this first day of October. So
exactly as I said it last
article,
week of October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the article in the Daily Graphic is wrong.
inaccurate.
Clearly, it's wrong. So this one says that Parliament resumed yesterday, but that's not the case. If you actually read on, it talks about the state of the nation and all of that. So
Okay.
yeah,
I think that was a mistake on their part.
that was a mistake. Okay,
Let
so
me do the Daily Guide very
Yes.
quickly. On the front page of the Daily Guide, we have the big story: 13 Tema Oil refinery staff milk refinery, and they are under probe. We have the Owusu Bempah story. It says Owusu Bempah's woes deepen. Obviously, he's been granted a bail a second time to the tune of 700,000 cedis, I believe. And President directs Red Sex to lead Galamsey fight. Also, Chief of Staff not auctioning state property unlawfully. Has a picture of the Chief of Staff, Akosua Frema Opare. So let me do that tall story. When you turn to page 3 of the Daily Guide, you will see the story. And this is what it is. It says details are emerging about how some staff of Ghana's only oil refinery, Tema Oil Refinery, TOR, allegedly diverted petroleum products belonging to the company's clients and caused financial loss to the state. As a result, some 13 top guys at TOR have been interdicted, and another 58 staff, 58, are under investigation for their alleged involvement in the losses and what is said to be serious breaches of professional conduct by the Interim Management Committee that is currently handling affairs at the refinery. And TOR's woes always deepens. Every time we hear about TOR, is one thing or the other. It's never positive, and this is very, very worrying.
in the story, I mean, the details, I mean, if you get the details I'm actually getting about TOR itself, it's even more harrowing than what is being talked about now.
Wow.
I mean, they're in deep financial distress.
Okay.
Terrible financial distress.
Still on the Daily Guide, but on page 4, they have an editorial on the Pokwase thievery. And, you know, we're talking about the interchange and how the crash barriers have been stolen. And it says, Accra and the country, for that matter, a few days ago, woke up to this absurd story about thieves removing crash barriers and street lights of the newly commissioned Pokwase interchange. It's a replication of what is happening to the railway project as thieves steal sleepers and even tracks.
Yeah.
Terrible. The country's newest infrastructural entry, the Pokwase interchange, has known no peace since its commissioning recently by President Akufo-Addo. From the establishment of a chop bar on it to the usurpation of a whole lane by trotro drivers, the list of breaches is increasing. And so the story goes on. We totally share this position. It is absurd, it is unnecessary, it is unacceptable, and we need to do better as a people.
I'm expecting you to do an editorial on it this week. Okay, we have very little time, so let me quickly go through the front page of the Finder. Claims that Chief of Staff was involved in sale of 9 cars false. Chief Director TOR interdicts staff over massive product losses. And teacher first policy critical to equip teachers deliver quality learning outcomes. And on the front page of the Business and Financial Times, TOR, that story about TOR is also there. And despite CWM, ECG is only able to pay 60% for VRA's power. Okay. SIC Live Board inaugurated. Kweku Apiamenka appointed Managing Director. GWCL Board to bring expertise to bear in addressing wastage, other challenges. And banking ethics as crucial as profit, other KPIs. Let's get to my Joy Online and see the story is making headlines there as well. So on my Joy Online, I will support whoever emerges successful, Akufo-Addo, on MPP flag bearership. And power outages to hit parts of Accra from October 5 to December 5. That's 2 months of doomsday.
Whoa.
Yes. So get ready for that. TOR staff interdicted for allegedly stealing 10.4 million cedis worth of cables. Akufo-Addo inspects €4 million ATB hospital project, $77 million in prior. So Onyimso Road. Ensure road traffic offenders face full rigors of the law. That's a Christian counsel to police. And what can we use 4% salary increment for? Teacher asks government. KJTR traders lock out market management and staff over high electricity bills. Wahala day. A Jura probe committee should have recommended dismissal of police commander. And our joy is in rising through the ranks, a teacher tells Ghana Education Service. Okay, so those are some stories on my Joy Online. You can get to read some more of that. But yes, that'll be it for the news review. And we're taking a break to have the sports. We'll bring you the sports thereafter. But please do stay tuned in. As I indicated, you should call someone to tune into the AM show, because we're having a conversation about Ghana, a conversation about why we're doing some things to ourselves and why we're not speaking out enough when we see things going wrong in society. And for me, that common example is people sitting in a vehicle and the driver driving recklessly, and yet no one is going to talk about it, and the vehicle crashes, and then people die, and people get maimed. We should speak up a lot more often, but why are we not? So yesterday we had this conversation this morning, yesterday in the morning after the AM show, and we are seeing the story about the crash barriers being removed. Then on my way home, I encountered a traffic police or dispatch rider who had stopped a vehicle. This taxi had a whole mattress, a huge mattress on top of it. And it had fallen off. It has come off the taxi. The taxi is small. Yeah. It's a Deu Matis. Okay, so that's it.
Whoa.
So it had fallen off, and on the highway, this taxi was carrying this mattress on top of it.
Wow.
So it has fallen off, and apparently the taxi driver was going to take, and the passenger were going to take the mattress to put it back on the taxi to tie it again. The policeman stopped them and said, no, you can't do that. And so it ended up that. But this person, I spoke to the passenger who said she had chartered a taxi from Abekala Pass. So all the way from Abekala Pass, lots of people would have seen this taxi and would have found something odd about it, but nobody tried to do
Perhaps they didn't feel anything odd about it. I mean, there have been heavier things carried on smaller cars, and nobody said anything. So whose job is it to imbibe in people this, responsibility to speak up when wrong is being done?
It should be us. I mean, we should all be speaking up when we see things. But for a long time, I guess, people have decided that, we can't be bothered about it. And this is another one. So this is a street light that's broken, and it's jutting out like this onto the road. It's artisanal. It's possible that somebody may be riding a motorbike and it could be knocked off, a motorbike like that. But so this thing has been there, and unless someone is talking about it or highlighting it, it's going to be there and it's going to cause harm. Plus, the street light is supposed to provide light, but it's been knocked off. It won't provide the light.
I think the assemblies have a lot of responsibilities in this regard as well. You need to, sensitize your people, the people in your area. It's not everything that central government can do. I mean, the assemblies must be seen to be working as well. Anyway. I think that, personally, they can make a lot more money, but, I mean, they're not putting in a lot of effort to make sure that the areas that they administer are bringing them the needed monies.
So that's a conversation we're going to have on the AM show. Do stay tuned in. Right now, we're taking a break to bring you sports. But thank you very much, Araba, for
always a pleasure to be here, Israel Live.
Review. Stay tuned in. We're back in a bit.